Mama June files subpoena for Anna's ex Michael's CPS records after Caitlyn's decision. Hello everyone. Welcome back to my channel. I hope everyone is having a nice day. Before we begin the video, please subscribe and give the video a thumbs up. Mama June is fighting hard for custody of her oldest granddaughter, Caitlyn. She has been making sure that Anna's ex, Michael, won't succeed in getting her granddaughter's custody. The latter has challenged Shannon in court based on her shady history with her daughters. He wanted Caitlyn's custody as he claimed that he had been paying her school fees all these years. Anna's ex-husband wanted Caitlyn to live under the same roof with her baby sister Kylie. However, Caitlyn turned the tables after sharing her decision with the court. She allegedly demanded to live with her maternal grandmother rather than her stepdad. Now, it seems that June has been planning to create more trouble for Michael after asking for his CPS records. What did she want to prove? Mama June asks court for Michael's CPS records. Mama June and Michael Cardwell have been going head-to-head in court because of the custody battle. The former has been making lots of allegations against Anna's ex since the court case. She informed the court that Michael was physically abusive towards Anna and her daughter during their marriage. But Cardwell's attorney has been denying all the claims since the start. Caitlyn's decision against her stepfather came as a shock to the audience. They were afraid of the little girl's future due to Shannon's history with her daughters. Well, the court is yet to share its final verdict on the custody battle. Now it seems that June wanted to give her last shot before the court's decision. Recently, she asked for Michael's CPS record to prove that he was abusive towards his stepdaughter. She filed a subpoena for a rep from the Department of Family and Children's Services to show up in court. The reality TV star wanted them to produce all kinds of notes, evaluations, reports, audio recordings, video recordings, and any other information related to Michael, June, or Caitlyn. As per InTouch, Shannon wanted the agency to have all the records about Cardwell before she faced him at the next hearing. Moreover, Shannon's attorney claimed that the testimony and evidence would help the court in making an informed decision in the custody case. Further, she filed a motion for the judge to tell the agency bring everything to the court. Mama June. Will Caitlyn's emotional letter be a game-changer? Mama June and Justin Stroud seem to be giving all their love to Caitlyn since Anna's passing. The couple might not have a very good reputation among fans, but they have worked on themselves and come a long way in their journey. We TV fans never felt that Caitlyn would be interested in living at her maternal grandma's home. However, her emotional letter to the court turned everything upside down. She refused to take any special visitations from Michael Cardwell. The court is yet to announce the final verdict. Moreover, fans have to wait to find out if the custody battle has more twists and turns in the future. Further, it would be interesting to see if Caitlyn's letter would convince the judges that she would be safe and happy with Shannon. Keep coming back to TV Season and spoilers for more updates on Mama June's court battle with Michael. In the aftermath of unimaginable grief, another storm was quietly building in the world of the Shannon family. A legal storm this time, with whispers of the past and fears for the future riding its winds. The death of Anna Chickadee Cardwell had left a hole that nothing could ever fill. It had been months, yet the wound still felt raw, aching in silence. But amid the sorrow and private mourning, a difficult decision had arisen, one that would send shockwaves through the family and trigger a bitter legal undercurrent that no one had expected so soon. Caitlyn, Anna's daughter, had made a choice, an emotional, deeply personal decision that brought comfort to some and concern to others. She had chosen to remain close to her step-grandmother, Mama June Shannon, in the wake of her mother's death. A surprising turn, considering the complicated history between June and Anna. But for Caitlyn, it wasn't about history. It was about where she felt loved, protected, and stable. That choice, innocent on the surface, would become the focal point of a brewing custody dispute. Because there was one person who wasn't ready to let it go without a fight: Michael Cardwell, Anna's ex-husband. Though Michael was not Caitlyn's biological father, he had played a role in her early childhood. Their family dynamic had long since fractured after his and Anna's split, but legally he was now asserting his rights as a father figure. He wanted custody, or at the very least, involvement. What had begun as a respectful expression of interest quickly escalated when legal paperwork arrived at June wasn't new to battles. She had seen the inside of too many courtrooms, survived too many headlines, and shielded her children from more pain than most families could imagine. But this was different. This was about Anna's daughter, about a granddaughter who had already suffered one immeasurable loss. And June, whether beloved or criticized, was determined to protect her. But the situation was tangled. In the court of law, blood wasn't the only factor. History mattered. Intent mattered, and above all, the best interest of the child mattered. So June made a move, one that turned heads and made headlines. She filed a subpoena for Michael's Child Protective Services, CPS records. It wasn't done out of spite. It wasn't about revenge. It was strategy. And it was personal. There had been whispers for years. Rumors about Michael's instability, about unreported investigations, about past accusations that had never made it to trial but had left shadows nonetheless. June had heard the stories, and though she'd never spoken them publicly, they stayed in her memory like unfinished songs. She knew that if Michael was serious about pursuing custody or legal visitation rights, everything needed to be brought to light, especially anything that could put Caitlin at risk. The subpoena sent a ripple through the court system. It wasn't just a request. It was a declaration that June was prepared to dig into every corner of Michael's past, and it made people nervous. Michael's legal team was quick to respond, pushing for the subpoena to be quashed. But the wheels were already turning. CPS records, if they existed, would be reviewed by the judge behind closed doors. The content might never be made public, but it could be the turning point in determining what was best for Caitlin. For June, the days after filing were filled with anxiety. She knew that the public would have opinions. There would be those who claimed she was overstepping, trying to erase Michael from Caitlin's life. But she also knew her motives were rooted in protection, not power. The house felt different now, like a fortress under siege. Every knock at the door, every envelope in the mailbox held the potential for more legal tension. The family, still reeling from Anna's death, found themselves thrust into a battle they never saw coming. And Caitlin, sweet, grieving Caitlin, was in the middle of it. She didn't understand the intricacies of legal strategy. She didn't know about CPS records or family court filings. She only knew that her mother was gone and that her world had become a little scarier, a little more uncertain. She clung to what felt familiar, to Mama June's steady, albeit flawed, presence, and June clung to her right back. The legal case began to unfold slowly, like most family court proceedings do. But tension mounted with every step. June's legal team gathered records, character references, evidence of stability. The CPS subpoena became a focal point. What would it reveal, if anything? Rumors swirled. Some said Michael had a past involving neglect allegations. Others insisted it was all unfounded, gossip fueled by family resentment. June didn't comment publicly. She let the paperwork speak. Behind closed doors, the judge reviewed the sealed documents. The contents were never confirmed, but something in the proceedings shifted afterward. Michael's tone changed. His legal team softened their demands, pulling back on full custody and instead requesting limited visitation rights, supervised, to start. To June, that felt like a silent admission. She wouldn't say it out loud. She didn't have to. The court's adjustment spoke volumes. But it didn't mean the fight was over. Even as legal tides began to settle, emotional waves continued to crash. The family had been through so much. And now, with Anna gone, her daughter's future had become a battlefield, one paved with grief, uncertainty, and legal red tape. Lauren stayed quiet through most of it. Her grief over Anna was still fresh, and her feelings about June's involvement in Caitlin's life were complicated. But she didn't interfere. She understood that June, for all her flaws, was trying to do the right thing. Alana, too, watched from the sidelines. Once a child thrust into the spotlight, she now chose silence. She supported Caitlin the best she could. Late-night talks, shared snacks, soft music to help her fall asleep. But the legal war wasn't hers to fight. Some would call it meddling. Others would call it redemption. But to June, it was love. She wasn't trying to take Anna's place. No one ever could. But she was trying to ensure that the last thing her daughter left behind was safe, secure, and surrounded by people who would never let her fall through the cracks. The court proceedings dragged on for weeks, with hearings, mediation sessions, and mountains of paperwork. But slowly, the situation began to resolve.